Welcome to Just Keep Buying. I'm Nick Majuli, author of Just Keep Buying and creator of the blog of Dollars and Data. Now, before we dive in, I want to be upfront about something. This course is loosely based on my book, Just Keep Buying, but I've adapted it specifically for the Taiwanese market. Wherever possible, I'll use local examples, discuss Taiwan's investment landscape, and show you how these principles apply to your unique situation. This course is designed specifically for you, investors in Taiwan who want to build wealth using evidence, not guesswork. Over the next 10 lessons, we're going to challenge some of the most common financial advice you've heard and replace it with strategies that actually work. Most financial advice sounds good in theory, but falls apart in practice. You've probably heard things like, cut your spending to get rich. Wait for the market to crash, then buy the dip. Time the market to maximize your returns. Here's the truth. None of these strategies work consistently. They're based on folklore, not data. And they're especially problematic when markets get volatile, which, as investors in Taiwan know, happens more often than we'd like. The core principle of this course is deceptively simple. Consistency beats timing. Let me demonstrate this with a story, then I'll show you a real example from Taiwan's stock market. My late grandfather was addicted to gambling on horse races. When I was a kid, we used to go to the Los Angeles County Fair and watch the horses dash around the track. What I saw then as a form of entertainment, I later learned was a lifelong struggle for my grandfather. His addiction started with horse racing, but eventually progressed to card games. Blackjack, baccarat, pai gow. You name it, he had played it. I had never heard of some of these games, but my grandfather knew them well, and he bet like it too. 750 Taiwanese dollars a hand, 1,500 Taiwanese dollars a hand, sometimes 2,500 Taiwanese dollars a hand. Sizable sums of money to throw away on gambling at cards. You have to understand that my grandfather was retired and living with his mother, my great-grandmother, at the time. She paid for his food and housing. When he initially retired at 55, he started getting 30,000 Taiwanese dollars a month from his pension. 7 years later, he began receiving government assistance for an additional 37,000 Taiwanese dollars a month. However, despite having 67,000 Taiwanese dollars a month in income and almost no costs, he died in May 2019 with no assets to his name. Throughout his 26-year retirement, he gambled it all away. But what if my grandfather had taken just half of his monthly retirement income, money he was going to gamble away anyways, and invested it in the US stock market? What would have happened then? He would have died with over 30 million Taiwanese dollars. He would have been able to gamble throughout his retirement with half of his money and still build wealth because of the growth of the other half invested in US stocks. This would have been true even though a sizable chunk of investments would have been made during the worst decade in US stock market history, 2000 to 2009. Nevertheless, that wouldn't have mattered. If he had just kept buying month after month, my grandfather could have counteracted his worst financial habits and built wealth. And I know what you might be thinking. Just Keep Buying might work with US stocks, but it could never work in Taiwan. Fortunately for Taiwanese investors, this is not correct. Over the last few decades, Just Keep Buying would have worked even better in the Taiwanese stock market than the US stock market. Let me show you. If you had invested 100 Taiwanese dollars in the S&P 500 at the start of the year 2000, by 2025, it would have grown into approximately 741 Taiwanese dollars. Now, if you had invested that same 100 Taiwanese dollars into the MSCI Taiwan Index, your home market, you would have 687 Taiwanese dollars, or about 8% less than what the S&P 500 grew to over this period. But here's where things get interesting. What if, instead of investing just once, you had committed to buying 100 Taiwanese dollars worth of investments every single day, no matter what the market was doing, no matter what the news was saying, invest 100 Taiwanese dollars a day consistently for 25 years. If you had done this with the S&P 500, you would have accumulated 3,709,154 Taiwanese dollars by 2025. But if you had done this with the MSCI Taiwan Index, the underperforming market, you would have accumulated 4,200,000 207,402 Taiwanese dollars, outperforming the supposedly superior S&P 500 by 13% by the end of the period. Let that sink in for a moment. The losing market actually won when you just kept buying. Why? Because you bought more shares when prices were lower, and when those prices increased in value, you ended up making more. This is the power of consistent investing, and it's exactly what this course will teach you to harness. This course will not teach you how to budget better or how to pick the next hot stock. Instead, it will focus on 4 core areas: saving and investing. You'll learn why saving is for the poor and investing is for the rich, and how to make the transition safely. Income growth. We'll explore why cutting expenses has limited effectiveness, but growing your income can change everything. Investment strategy. You'll discover how to invest through market crashes, booms, and everything in between without losing sleep. And building systems. We'll create automated systems so you don't have to rely on willpower or perfect timing. By the end of this course, you'll learn when to focus more on saving versus investing, practical strategies to increase your income over time, the confidence to keep investing even when markets are falling, how to create a diversified portfolio that balances Taiwan's market with global exposure, an automated financial system that works whether you're paying attention or not, and finally, a 10-year wealth building plan customized for Taiwan's investment landscape. Taiwan has a unique investment landscape. You have TSMC, one of the world's most important technology companies. You have strong manufacturing and electronics sectors. You also have currency considerations, political factors, and your own market cycles that don't always match global trends. Throughout this course, I'll address these realities head on. We won't pretend that investing in Taiwan is exactly like investing in the United States or Europe. It's not. But the fundamental principles of wealth building remain the same across all markets. These are the principles we will master together. We have 10 focused lessons ahead of us. Each one is designed to be 10 to 15 minutes long, which is short enough to fit into your day, but substantial enough to give you real, actionable insights. You can move through them at your own pace, but I encourage you to take your time with each one. Let the concepts sink in. Think about how they apply to your specific situation, and most importantly, start taking action. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. And as entertaining as I can be, I know ultimately you want real changes. And this course is designed to change how you think about money. But more importantly, it's designed to change what you actually do with your money. So let's stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect market, or the perfect strategy. It's time to just keep buying.